Hi, Amy Denney here, owner of Shine Light Therapy and certified Holy Yoga and trauma sensitive Holy Yoga teacher. I truly believe each one of us was born to shine. However, sometimes life circumstances can dim our lights, but with the right tools, resources, and encouragement, I believe that can be reversed. Welcome to Made to Shine, a movement and community of like minded people who are here to help you shine your light a little brighter. And today I am honored to speak to Malia Lym, who is the author of a journal that has rocked my world. So I am super privileged to speak to her today and share with you about this journal. And she's probably going to share some really cool tips that are total freebies that you can do on your own. But I want you to know right now, before you go any further, you want this journal in your life. And you will probably find out why by the end of the time that we are chit-chatting about it. So Malia, tell us a little bit about yourself, and especially I want to know why, of all the different spiritual disciplines that you could have picked, why prayer?
So thank you, Amy, for having me. First of all, it's my pleasure to be here. So my name is Malia. I am a mechanical engineer by trade, but after work, I spend most of my time on a newfound business, a passion business called Based on Purpose, where I make prayer journals. And so these journals are structured journals, meaning that it's not just a blank page or like a scripture at the top and then a full page. No, these journals have specific layouts with specific fields and different areas to fill in that are designed purposefully for specific things. So my first journal, Pray on Purpose, is a journal that's specifically for goals and gratitude. I'm finishing a draft now for anxiety, and it will have a different layout, and that one will be specifically for stress and anxiety. So I use structured journaling, similar to science experiments. You know, you change one variable, but you keep everything else the same to observe how, you may be changing, right? So if you use the same structure every day, you're able to, hey, JJ, you're able to make observations and implement changes easier with the same structure. So that's kind of how a little segment of how the structured journaling came to be about. So I started using just a morning routine and structured journaling in my own personal life. And I found that I wasn't as consistent as I wanted to be until I incorporated prayer and until I incorporated the faith aspect of it. And that's when it really was a transformative part of my life.
I can see the engineer in you. Like, now that I know what you do, because I didn't know that before, it makes complete sense. One of the things I was sharing with my husband about how much I love this journal earlier today, and I said, I can see how my morning routine is a hot mess because when you have to write it out, it's like, oh, well, no wonder, it all
Yeah,
starts.
no wonder your days start out so frantic. It's, when you don't have a morning routine. And that's really something that I know is hard for a lot of people. It was extremely hard for me to get a morning routine together. But it's so beneficial to your days. And then when you throw prayer and scripture on top of that, it's just all that goodness.
Oh, it is so much goodness. I'm telling you, I've had so much fun with it. So tell me, like, what in your life has been, why are you so passionate about prayer? Can you tell me like specific stories about how prayer has made a difference in your life, or why you care about it so much?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, I'm an engineer by trade. I have 2 degrees. I have a license. I am a specialist at work. I support million-dollar projects. I am a very high achieving person. I like setting goals. I like the pursuit of goals. I like attaining them, and all of that drive. your classic type A personality. But in 2012, I was diagnosed with a chronic health condition, and you can't run and hustle 100% all the time when your body is not able to do that anymore. So I would go really, really hard, like normal, what I enjoy, and my body would quit on me. And then I would just like have to stop everything. I would go into depression, anxiety, stress, because for somebody who's typically, I used to be an athlete in college, for someone who could just get up and go conquer the world, to suddenly be put flat on her butt is really difficult. So I really wanted the morning routine. I needed that time to make sure every single day that I was healing my body the way that I needed to. But again, like I said, I couldn't stay consistent until I incorporated faith. And so I grew up in the church. I've always had a relationship with God, but I mean, let's be real. Like, everyone grows up in the church and they have like a general relationship with God, but it wasn't until like I really took it seriously. It was like, okay, God, I'm gonna give you all like a good try. Like, I'm gonna try to be about this and see if you hold up your end of the bargain. And he has, and so I just have not looked back at all.
Reminds me of the psalm that says, taste and see that the Lord is good. Just having that trial, he never fails us. My sermon this morning at church was about the Lord with us and just that relationship. So what a great tie-in. Yeah. I totally relate to your story too, because I also have a couple of different chronic health issues, and was probably in my early 30s when it got really, really severe. And it was around that same time that I made a commitment to read the Bible in a year. I had never really read the Bible. I read parts of the Bible, verses here and there, and mostly devotions. But making that commitment to read the Bible in a year really took some planning, and I had to have the right tools in place. And then once I had that discipline down, it really opened the door to a lot of other disciplines as well, because you don't have to change everything at once. And I think that's what I really like about the prayer journal. Like, it doesn't really this isn't going to take your whole day, but it frames your entire day and your relationship with the Lord. And it gives you that focus. And I'll share how I use mine, if that's okay.
Yes.
So on the top, there is just kind of a spot for whatever it is you're meditating on, or scripture. And so I've kind of turned that into my little artwork, where I've got some color. I do a colored pencil devotion with my 5-year-old every morning. So I just use a little bit of color at the top and have like a short phrase or something. So like, just pray was one. And let's see, there was another one that was like, Jesus is joy. So really simple things I can frame my whole day around. And I love that. Guys, I want to read you the opening to Malia's journal. So this is just on the front page. It says, this journal was designed to help you make prayer a priority, connect with God, develop good habits. Like I said with the Bible reading, it takes intention. Love that. Focus on gratitude. So important. That's the antidote to like everything.
Yeah.
Speak positivity into your life and have clarity in your day. Love that.
Do you feel like it does all of those things for you?
It's been really good. I tend to, with a 5-year-old, I tend to think I can do more in a day than I really can, because my brain says, yes, you can do all these things. And the 5-year-old says, nope, not going to happen. So like having this place to, okay, I'm committed today to do these things, and wrapping all of that in prayer it's just been really good. And it's given me that place where I feel contented and fulfilled, rather than depleted and defeated. So.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. Like, I think a lot of people, and I was definitely guilty of this, they just wake up and their day begins. Like you get up and you grab your stuff, you run out the door, and you're off. But taking that time in the morning, especially, to just like woosah, check in with yourself. How are you feeling today? I really want to like hit these 2 items. I really got to make sure I do these things. Lord, can you help me make sure that I don't have any roadblocks? Like whatever it is, and just like having that time and that space with a framework so that you don't have to think about all the things that you're supposed to think about. You just follow the framework, right? And I think that is super beneficial for people. I've been reading a lot of books on like what some of the top performers do, CEOs, very successful people. Many of them wake up early in the morning and they reflect with gratitude. They figure out what they're going to do for the day, right? Like they do all of those things. And so I wanted a tool that was structured so I can always come back to that same routine and those same habits with God, so that I know for sure it's going to be beneficial to me. Like, because when I tried to do it on my own, it wasn't enough, right? So that's so wonderful that it's I don't know, it's helping you.
So can you think of a story of a time when God answered a prayer or showed up in a big way that just kind of surprised you or gave you a different perspective on prayer or your relationship with him? I know, big question.
Yeah. So I don't want to sound cliche, but honestly, writing the prayer journal was God's instruction to me. So at the time, I was using the structure of the journal just in a blank notebook, right? And at the time, I had run myself into the ground again because I was overachieving. I had finished grad school, and it was I had just knocked out goals after goals, and then my body gave up, right? So at that time I was like, am I supposed to still be going to work? It was physically difficult for me to get up every day and go into the office to work. And so and then also I have a crazy amount of responsibilities at work, so that to me was causing a lot of stress. So I was basically in a state of like crying out to God, like, what am I supposed to do? Because I can't physically, like the type of demanding job that I have and the way that I want to do it, I can't physically keep doing it and still live like a normal life and everything like that. So I was in a state where I felt like I was at a crossroads, and I didn't understand. So I'm driving home and I see like the lottery sign, and it's like 300 million. And I was like, God, if you just let me win, like I will tithe. I will show you that. And I was going home sick that day. So I was really defeated. And so I was just like, God, if you just like, give me something, like help me out here. And so I get home and I'm talking to God, and I'm just like, what is up? Because why am I going through this? And so I see my stack of books, which is like a devotional, a blank journal, the Bible, some other journal. It's like a stack of books, right? And so I go home defeated, and I want to go to my stack of books, but it just felt like too much to sit through that stack of books. And I'm just like, God, what is it? And he said, you see that stack of books, you're supposed to be writing planners and journals and stuff. Like, that this is what you love to do. Your lotto ticket is not a lotto ticket. Your lotto ticket is going to be fulfilling your purpose. And that is to put these journals out for other people, put these tools together for other people the way that you do. Like at work, I develop forms, I develop procedures, I develop ways to assess things. Like I do a lot of technical stuff at work, and I quite enjoy it. And so to be able to apply it in this way, to me, is a fun passion. And so in that moment, it was like God was in the room with me almost. He was just like, you don't need money. You don't need, like, I don't ever feel the need for money. God has always supplied my needs. But he's just like, if you want, he knows what I want in my heart. He knows that there's a disconnect between where I'm at in my life and what I want. And being that I have this physical ailment to where I'm not always able push myself to attain those things, I have to rely on him. And so he said in that moment, like, this is what you have to do. These are your instructions. And ever since I was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I guess I'm going to start a business. I guess I'm going to publish a book. I literally went into engineering because my mother is a lawyer. I went into engineering because I was told that they don't have to read as much, because I was very good at math and I wasn't good at reading. And now I'm like publishing books. Like, that is God. Okay. Because that was never, ever my plan. But when he, and it's so funny because when God gives you your purpose, it's so specific to you. I love stationery. I love planners. I love the little boxes where you fill out stuff. And even at work, making forms and doing things like that is more enjoyable than running calculations or whatever else. And so when God told me, you're supposed to be publishing and creating and putting these things out for other people, it was this hilarious relief, joy. I cried and laughed and jumped around. Like, it was a swarm of feelings, because it was that aha revelation, like, okay, this is what it is. I look at other people who are asking those same questions. God, what is it that you want me to do? Where's my lotto ticket? What is the deal with what I'm going through? And I don't want people to get as low as I was before they have that revelation. So that's why I'm so passionate about people getting these journals and getting connected with God before they hit rock bottom, before they, there we go. Before they hit rock bottom, before they have that desperate cry. Because really, now that I know what my purpose is, looking back, I've always known.
Yeah.
I just didn't put it together,
I love that. I love that story so much. I think a lot of people are really kind of have like a fear almost of God calling them to do something that's going to be really hard and outside their comfort zone. Like, oh, God's going to send me on a mission field somewhere scary that I don't want to go. But God knows, like, God made you. He knows the hairs on your head, and he holds you in his hand, and he probably knows, he doesn't probably know, he knows our purpose and our heart better than we do. And so the way that that kind of came to be for you is just such a beautiful thing. Like, it's just God. You can't deny that God was at work in all of that. I love it.
Yeah.
I love your reaction to it too.
Definitely. It's definitely just God. Yeah. And when you say, like, people are afraid, to open that door and find out what their purpose is, because they're afraid of what it might mean, right? Like, oh, I might have to, go do missions, or I might have to stand up and speak in front of people or whatever. But God knows you, right? Like, he knows what you're good at. He knows what you're scared of. He knows what you like to do, what you don't like to do, what you don't want to ever have to do, right? And anytime you're walking in your purpose, it's going to be scary. But the more you rely on God, the more he gives you the tools, and he gives you the people, and he gives you the confidence, and he gives you the skills and experiences and all of those things, so that you don't have to have the fear anymore, right? There are times where I'm doing something and I'm like, ooh, I don't know. And I'm just like, okay, God, so send us something, because this doesn't feel good. And God never wants you to feel like that. And so you just have to constantly communicate with him, and that fear will dissipate. It's always going to be a little scary, but.
Right. I think that's true. It is scary because it's not comfortable. It's not our choosing. It was God's choosing. But we would probably never choose that because we don't always, it's human nature to not want to get out of that comfortable spot. But I love that God in your life, and I think it's such a beautiful example for all of us, paralleled that with the lottery for you. So you won a prize, the biggest treasure of all, because then you knew that he knew the cry of your heart, even if you didn't totally know it. And he fulfilled that. So what a beautiful thing. And as it were, you are helping so many other people who are coming to this prayer journal with that, with some of those, I call them like snotty prayers, like you had, like the just on your knees, surrendering everything and saying, okay, God, I can't, but you can.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it's a beautiful place to be, really.
It is. It's very, when you get that open with God and and he just catches you. There's once you're finally back on your feet and you're just like, that was God all the way. It's you just feel so special. Like you saw me when I was all busted up, broken down, and you caught me and you said, you're worth so much more. Let's get you together. And it makes you feel like so special. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I can just see the radiance in your eyes and your expression, and the joy of the Lord is just, I can tell the joy of the Lord is your strength. So that's cool. All right. So, journaling, how does that fit into all of it? You said that you aren't necessarily a reader. Do you like to write? And let me just be clear with anybody watching this, that the prayer format in this journal is simple. It's biblical. It's the Acts prayer. So, and you can talk about that more if you want to, or just leave that. But it's very much modeled after the Lord's Prayer. And it also gives you the creativity to do whatever prayer you want. So I love that as well. But I've been following your format and it's just been working wonders. So the journaling aspect, tell me why that's so powerful. I mean, I know, but I want you to share in your words why journaling makes a huge difference.
So journaling has so many benefits. But for me, again, like I said, I have seasons where I go through anxiety or depression. And I advocate for going to see therapists, right? If you are not feeling any kind of good about yourself, get help. If you feel like you want to get in shape, go get a trainer. If if your mental state is not stable, go talk to a counselor. I don't even file my own taxes, right? I have an accountant for that. Like we're all here to help each other, right? So I really advocate for that. But there are things that you are not going to talk to your therapist about, right? There are things that you aren't going to talk to your husband about or your best friend, right? Like, and as a human, like we still have to process those thoughts. And so for me, journaling was always a safe space for me to just like be my honest self, to where I can just get it out, the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm not advocating this for anybody, but I write in the journal. Okay, so let me take a step back. I actually started writing prayers after I graduated college. I kept a blank notebook in my desk at work, and every morning when I got into work, I would write a quick prayer. And my job became more and more stressful. I started getting more and more sick, and that going in every morning, once I struggled to get myself there, and I'm facing this huge day ahead of me, and I would just lay it out on the page. Just, God, oh my goodness, this person's making me mad. I'm so sick of how I feel. Like, it was really just a vent session for a while. It wasn't me wanting to hear from him. It was just a vent session. But what I walked away with is that I can let it out. Especially as women, we kind of just like, oh no, we have to be so proper, and oh, not a big deal. Like, no, if you're mad, if you're feeling sad, if you desperately want something to happen, we have emotions, right? And they're not always something that you can share with somebody, or that somebody can relate with you about, or maybe you don't want to tell somebody because it's embarrassing, or they're going to lead you a different way, and whatever. So journaling was always a safe space to let it out without the influence of any other human being. if that makes sense. So that's kind of how the prayer and the journaling, like, they started together really for me.
Yeah, I love that. So true and so powerful. There's something just cathartic about it. It's like writing that note or text message that you don't send when somebody's really gotten under your skin.
Like at work, do you ever like write a mad email like, actually, ask email, da, 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 and you're just like, okay, never mind. Let me just delete that real quick. Yeah. So the journal is that first email. No one's ever going to read it.
Right. And that's so important for our soul, I think, to get that anger out, because if not, the body does store it.
It stores it.
Yeah. The trauma yoga instructor in me is coming out here, and
it stores it. Yes,
it stores it. It stores it. And so you have to release those one way or another. And journaling is a perfect vehicle for that. One quick story, a couple of years ago, I started having some gut issues, and I thought that I was healed for several years. And when things started to return, I actually got a stomach bug from my baby, and it didn't go away for months and months. And I saw different specialists, and I had blood draws, and nobody knew what was wrong with me, and I couldn't eat anything. Like, I wasn't able to digest much. And one morning, at like 2 a.m, I woke up and I'm like, my family deserves better. I shouldn't even be here, which I'm not a suicidal person, but it was a suicidal thought. And I immediately hopped out of bed. I recognized that the enemy was at work. I grabbed my Bible, my journal, and I sat down and I worked through it with God. And it was very scary to me to have that thought. And I realized a lot of people have had that thought, a lot of people. Across the board, demographically, all ages, male, female, doesn't matter. And so I sat down and I'm working this out with God, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what if this happens again? And God's like, what makes you think I won't be there then too? Like, I'm not going anywhere. And one of the stories that he brought me to was Jesus praying in Gethsemane. And just that Jesus knew what he was facing, that he was facing death on the cross, and he still asked God to take that away. So in that moment, he was saying, just take me now, which is what I was saying that night. Just take me now. It's not worth it for anybody to have to deal with my stuff. And to know that Jesus had those same feelings as me at 2 o'clock in the morning was extremely comforting. And the only way I ever knew that was to sit down with the journal and my Bible and prayer.
And experience. Experience it for yourself, right?
Right.
I mean, I think the Gospels are so underrated, right? Like what Jesus went through, right? Because he lived the human experience. And I know we're supposed to model him as best as we can, but we tend to forget, like, he had a human experience. So we don't have to beat ourselves up about, feelings and having, these conflicting feelings, especially like if you're ever, I remember when I was younger, I would get upset with God, and elders in the church would be like, you can't do that. And I'm like, why? If he's my friend, if he's my dad, if he's, like, I never understood that. And I still to this day don't really agree that people should, like, if you have a relationship with somebody, there will be a day where you're upset at them. And I personally don't see anything wrong with that. And when you look at the human, the human aspect of it, I don't think God expects us anything different. Because why would he send Jesus to experience that for us so that we can see, hey, it's okay to have these experiences as long as we know to constantly turn to our source, to God. Yeah.
Right. Amen. I mean, that's just it. I think God expects us to be angry at him sometimes, and we can either turn away from him in those moments, turn our back on him, or we can take our anger at him to him, because only he knows how to heal that. Like, he has the balm for that anger and those feelings, and we'll never know unless we bring that to him, what he can do with that. And he can do amazing things with that.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so if somebody wants to purchase your journal or find out more, and oh my goodness, I didn't even know about the anxiety and stress journal, and I totally want to be first in line for that. So tell us how we can find all of your awesomeness.
Yeah, so my website is basedonpurpose.com. based on purpose.com. And then follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. Yeah, and the anxiety journal. So you have the Pray on Purpose journal. It's kind of a free flowing. There's not a guide every day because I want to encourage people that use it to like actually read their Bibles. So I didn't put it as a devotional format where I'm providing scripture every day. But the anxiety journal will have daily guides. Just because when you're kind of going through the storm, you need a little bit more hand-holding. So I've been posting like all the behind the scenes, like it feels weird to be so excited about something that has to do with stress and anxiety, but I am so excited about this journal. Like I started writing it and God knew that I would need it myself. This 2020 has been a year for the books for everyone, I think, right? So when I first started writing this journal, I was like, oh, other people need it. And then like, as I'm writing, I was like, oh, I need it. This is what I need. And God is so funny like that. But follow me on Instagram and you guys will know when that drops. You know, I'll be posting it. Please subscribe to my mailing list on my website, basedonpurpose.com. So then that's where offers, special deals. Yeah, the mailing list.
Definitely sign up for that, guys. Go to the website, sign up. And I know you did a giveaway not that long ago. So those are things that you can maybe find out too by following the website. I was going to ask you another question and it's totally slipping my mind. So if I think of it, we'll put it in the notes that go with this, but we'll have the website link and everything with this video. And I'll encourage you, Malia, to share it as well with your page and your group. So yeah, I think that's all, unless you have anything that you want to add. This has been amazing. And you are just a wonderful human being who I have really enjoyed chatting with.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate, this, like, I when people tell me that the journal has helped them, I get goosebumps every time. I still have goosebumps. It's very encouraging to me, like this, like I said, God told me to do this. It wasn't like I was like, oh, I want to be an author. So I'm walking in faith and I'm waiting for God to hold up his end of the bargain. And when people tell me that it's blessing them, that is God's telling me, like, here's my end of the bargain, like here's his end of the bargain, so it really encourages me. It strengthens my faith when I hear that. So I just want to thank you for trying it, for actually trying it, and allowing it to bless you, and then circling back to tell me about it. It's just, I really, really so much appreciate that. So yeah.
I am sharing it with everybody, just telling people to buy it. And I know what I was going to ask, not really ask so much as just say, you mentioned that the anxiety and stress journal is going to have more of a daily guide to it. And I will point out that I use a coloring devotional with my 5-year-old every day. I think I said that already. And then I read the Bible every day. So that's where I draw the inspiration for my daily meditation. And as a yoga teacher, just having some kind of simple meditation every day is super helpful. But I still don't feel like I've added on this burdensome layer. I feel like really this prayer journal has completed my morning quiet time routine. By kind of bringing all of those pieces together, like, okay, now I get it. Otherwise I was just checking things off the list, and I wasn't really having that relationship, that whole with the Lord. I was just doing things for the Lord, but not really having that interpersonal relationship. So nice. Thank you. All right, guys, that's it for today. Please be sure to get on basedonpurpose.com and sign up for emails, get lots of great information, and just send Malia some encouragement. She's awesome. Thank you, Malia.